Alana and Dean Stott are a dynamic married duo known for their incredible work rescuing people from war-torn areas. Together, they navigate the complexities of high-risk situations, drawing on their incredible relationship together, their deep bond, and how they're really going in and committed to saving lives. Their work not only exemplifies courage and resilience, but also showcases the strength of their marriage. It is an honor to have you both here today.
Oh, thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
I mean, I heard you speak live. I was so inspired. I was crying and I said, I need to call these two and I need to get them into the studio so you can share your story, because every single woman who knows what it's like to be married to a very powerful man sometimes feels like they need to step aside. And unless they have a really strong partner, don't know how to find their voice. And really, at the end of the day, you're the one back who's making this all happen. So before we get into the details, I want to know how the two of you met and why you've committed your entire life to going into war-torn areas and saving and rescuing people.
So I was in Aberdeen in Scotland, and Dean worked for the UK Special Forces, and he was up doing some training in Aberdeen, and we just literally, it was the old story of bumped into each other in a bar. The problem was that Dean was at the top, I lived at the top of the UK, Dean was at the bottom, and he was on like a pager, which meant he had to be within a certain vicinity of the camp at all times. So I did think this is going to fizzle out really quickly, but it didn't. And we travelled and we made it work. And then 15 years later, it's still good. So
yeah, I think when I met Alana was a bank manager at the time, and as we started building this relationship, well, actually very early on, wasn't it? I asked Alana, was this what she'd always wanted to do, be a bank manager? And she said, no, I actually always wanted to be a spy. And I said, well, what have you done to pursue your dreams? And Aberdeen's the oil and gas capital of Europe. It's a very male-centric and, be told to stay in your lane sort of thing. So she was surrounded by that sort of negative environment. So the next day I walked into the bank with the joining instructions for the MI6 with the phone number for the chief instructor. And I said, well, look, go fulfill your dreams. And I think Alana then realized that I would be one who'd probably push her. And then when I realized later on our relationship, she was always then pushing me.
Oh, wow. So beautiful. And now 3 kids later, and you've dedicated your life to humanity. I mean, tell us a little bit for people who don't know. When I say you go into war-torn areas and rescue people, you literally are going in and saving people's lives. What made the two of you dedicate your life to this?
I think that was the initial attraction, something that I was always involved in. Helping people was just almost like ingrained in me from a really young age. And then probably the reason I stayed single was I couldn't understand why not everybody wanted to do that. And then I met this guy who was of the exact same thinking of me. All he wanted to do was help people, and we wanted to work out a way that we could do it and still have an income for ourselves and our own world, but be able to help people on a daily basis. So it's great, we can do that. And then it was, oh, we're having children now. Can we still do this and have kids? And then a lot of people told us, absolutely not. Your life's about to change. You're not going to be able to do any of the things you used to do. And straight away, Molly was on a flight at 2 weeks old with us. We were traveling. She's been absolutely, most places she comes with us. I mean, she doesn't come to Yemen or Libya or Somalia during war times or any of these things, but she's involved in everything, and she's 13 now. There was Tommy and there was Harley, and all 3 of them have kind of just been involved in the process. So we've been lucky enough to just build this family that all understands the need to help people, and the kids have all got that too now.
Wow, what a gift.
Yeah, I got injured out of the Special Forces, and so after 16 years. And so without sounding like Liam Neeson, with our particular skill sets, the private security sector is a natural stepping stone. And at that time, I think it was the Haiti disaster, wasn't it? Alana is very passionate about human trafficking, works very much in that space, and actually has been honoured by King Charles with the MBE for her work that she does behind the scenes. And I think during that, you're probably best to explain this one, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was 2010 and the Haiti disaster had hit. So what happens whenever there's any major disaster or situation going on in the world, traffickers move in because they know there's going to be a large amount of orphans created from it. So they'd moved in quite quickly into Haiti, and they'd established a under 5-year-old orphanage ready to be taking these kids into sex trafficking. So I had a friend who had gone in to help these kids, but she needed security. She was an older lady as well. And she asked me if I could find anybody, because she knew that I was with Dean. And we couldn't get any security that were willing to do it for free. And it kind of blew my mind. I was like, why can't people? But also, I understood this was their job and this is what they had to do. So I said to Dean, we have to be able to do this. And Dean was like, well, let's get you trained up as a bodyguard then, so you're able to go and do it if you need to do it. But also that we then have the network and people that we can always just go, if somebody needs our help and the call happens, we can just go and we can do it without charging people for it. So there is times where we do have to do evacuations or urgent calls that are charged for, specifically companies or anything like that. But with things like Israel or Haiti as an example, if we get that call, we're able to just move immediately.
It's incredible. So you were telling me when I heard you speak the first time, you were talking about October 7th, and you get the call that there are Christian students, right? And what was the story?
Our first call was a Jewish friend had called, and then we had, I mean, when I speak about it, I'll speak about it in the religion-wise. We had Christian, Hindu, Jewish, Buddhist, all called, like everybody had called, Islam, everybody had called us saying that they were stuck. And I think after the second call, I said to Dean, you're going to have to go there. Like, this isn't just a normal situation. You're going to have to get out. So we were in Disneyland on the 7th, and then this was on the morning of the 8th, we were getting the calls now. So we booked a flight immediately, and then Dean.
Yeah, I think going back slightly, because we've done evacuations before, we've done them in Libya, Afghanistan, and places like that. Obviously, when Israel kicked off, I'd never been to Israel before. That was a unique thing about Israel compared to the other countries that we've been to. So the other countries, we already had safe houses in place, we had security teams, drivers and everything else. We were going in slightly blind, but I had not long finished filming in Jordan. I was doing a Netflix show, a special forces show. And so already we had assets in Jordan that could assist if need be. We had teams in Cyprus. So before going in, we just went in, going in blind. Before I took off, we reached out to a few of our Jewish friends here in US and in the UK. And by the time I landed, a 13-hour flight actually, yeah, you had something like 63 WhatsApp groups already of people that needed assistance. So unlike the others, we went in and designed the plan from the inside out rather than having a plan in place, just purely because of the lessons we've learned from before on other evacuations and what works and what doesn't. But what was successful for us was we were in, and the majority of the work needed done in the first 4 or 5 days. After that, everyone who needed to get out had gone. It was just because there was obviously confusion, flights were getting cancelled and everything else. It wasn't until another week till the next security team came in from abroad. And so the success of us is the fact that we're a husband and wife. We're quite nimble. We don't have to get approval of the board or anyone else. It is like literally, I looked up, Alana said, I bought you a ticket. And so then I knew that was the green light for me to go. But the Christian group you mentioned, as Alana had touched on earlier, it's the first time we broke protocol. Normally we have clients already and we know where we're getting them from and getting them out. And we don't even do anything above the radar on social media. This time was totally different. We didn't know who we were going to get when we went in. And so we put some posts out and we shared it with some of the biggest military influencers out there. And there was a Bible college within the old city of Jerusalem. Had 15 students, 14 American and 1 Indian. And Elizabeth and her husband, Matthew, the pastor, they're from Huntington Beach actually originally. And they've been there 8 years. But because the flights had cancelled, you know, they're under a lot of pressure from the parents to get the children out, and they literally exhausted all their options. She said she didn't know what to do. She said she prayed that morning. I mean, she follows a good friend of ours, Jocko Willing, and she went on his post and saw me in Jerusalem. And so she messaged on Instagram, and within 45 minutes, we were in having coffee and tea with them, and we made a plan. And I think within a week, Alana managed to get them all out at no cost. So we did see, you know, we did see the good and the bad on social media, and that was one of the good factors that we did see.
I mean, you said that you have taken your children to most of these areas with you. I mean, they're watching. They're going to be such rock stars just having you as parents, really, because we all try to make our children resilient and to be good and to do good for humanity. They're watching you. You guys are their heroes and their role models. It's incredible to me. But I'm sure there are times that you guys are dealing with a lot. I mean, these are people's lives. It's intense. How are you both able to kind of leave your professional life outside of the home? Or does it all kind of mesh together for you?
You know, I remember I think it was the Sunday when Dean was away, and Molly had like a bracelet. She was selling bracelets. She was in that phase of trying to make some money. Tommy had some friends over. Harley was, you know, just a baby. And I was getting calls from people on the rescues. And somebody had called me from Gaza. They were stuck inside of Gaza. And I was trying to work out a way to get, that was the hardest thing, trying to get them out of there, to get them free. And somebody had said to me, you better not be helping people that are Palestinian. And I said, I don't care what you're following. If somebody needs help, I'm helping them. And it got me really upset. And I remember Dean was messaging because we needed to get these flights in. There was like people getting crossed over the border. Molly was asking me about the bracelets. Tommy's got his friend who's hungry. Harley was, and I literally sat on the floor and just started crying. I was like, oh gosh. But then after like a few minutes, I'm like up again and I'm ready to go. And Molly and Tommy, they're a little bit more obviously Harley doesn't know what's going on, but Tommy watches the news, Molly sees what's going on. The one thing that we do as parents is we don't hide anything from them. We do it kind of age appropriately, like we don't have them sitting watching Fox News and CNN back to back and learn everything, but they know there was trouble and they know that bad things were happening and Daddy was going to help the bad things that were going on. With Molly, you know, like in the human trafficking field, she's fully immersed with me and we talk about it again, age appropriately, but I know what's going on with her friends and what she talks about with her friends and what her friends are going through. And the more that I can be open with her and make her understand what the world is like, the better she can be at helping her friends too. Because I know a lot of them don't get, a lot of parents think hide as much as you can from the kids to protect them from the evils in the world. But unfortunately, they've got access everywhere to it now. And if you're not talking to them, somebody else is. So I just try and give them as much information as I can. And then we sit and talk about it and process it. And what do you want to know? And we'll hide what we can, as in like, they don't need to know everything. And the way that social media is and things, like they're very directed into certain apps. Luckily, they don't want to touch the other apps that have got crazy stuff on them. But if they come to me and they say, what is this about? We'll sit down and we'll talk about it.
That's beautiful. You have open discussions and you're not hiding things from them, because this is the world that we live in. And through social media, our kids are seeing everything.
Yeah. And they talk about it in school. You know, when what was going on, some parents are like, I wouldn't talk to my kids about that. They're talking about it in school. And if I'd rather they got it from me than the conversation in school.
We operate slightly different. Alana has the harder job of the two. I think, yes, I'm on the ground in more dangerous environment and moving people around, but Alana has to liaise with the families. The initial point of contact is from the families to Alana. So already Alana's already got an emotional bond with them. She knows the names of everyone. I don't know the name of anyone. Well, I do, but I don't know the names of everyone we got out. And the reason for that is when I'm on the ground, if I'm emotionally attached to these people, it's not because I have no empathy at all. I just can't have a decision to be blurred because of my emotional relationship with them. So I sort of keep that away from me, whereas Alana takes it all in from us all. So you have the harder job of us too, of the pair of us. And you know, the amount of times I phone you and you know it's too much, and you know, she's so passionate because she wants to help these families and get them out. And I said we will get them out, but it's just two different ways of operating. So she takes that emotional side, and then I can make clear decisions on the ground.
I mean, I can only imagine working with my husband, but then also worrying about his safety. Like, you're sending him out into areas where you're not, I mean, you're praying that he's going to be okay and come home. How do you handle that?
There is a level of desensitization. Like, you do have to just switch off and hope that he's going to be. It's funny. I know it's almost when he's at the safest, because it's when he's at his best, when he's out there doing that. I worry more if he goes out with the guys for a drink than anything else. But I've got to just switch off to what's going on until he gets home. And this was the first time, actually, Israel was the first time that we'd almost, because we'd worked so much on various things over the years, and we've grown through every time we do one of these things, we grow from it. And this was the first time that I really focused on how we both were when he got back. And I was like, oh, I can see how we're kind of cold with each other, and we need to actually rebond with each other because he's gone away and he's had to switch off to all these human emotions. And I've kind of taken all these emotions in, and then now he's come back and we're like, okay, who are we? Like, we need to come back to that. So we almost had to take like a couple of days just to like recalibrate who we were and just like take some deep breaths. And we do a lot of things that we've never done before, like meditation and just regrounding ourselves. And that's helped so much in that type of thing.
Yeah, and I think from my side, you know, we've got it wrong in the past. You know, in 2014, we single-handedly evacuated the Canadian embassy out of Libya, 18 military and 4 diplomats. But coming back from that trip, I'd only been home 21 days in a 365-day calendar. So I totally disconnected from, and it was actually just a lack of communication. I thought Alana wanted me to be away, and I thought, you know, she wanted me to be away, and actually, you know, we ended up working together from that point on. But what the lessons learned from that is I don't go out the door now unless it's been signed off by Alana and the kids. So when Alana bought that ticket for Israel, then I knew the family were all in. And so that's great from my side, because I have seen guys who go out and try to help, but they haven't got the full support of their family, and it's playing on their mind as well. So I know that when I go out the door, I don't need to worry about that. Alana's and the kids are fully behind me, which is something we've learned over the years. Yeah.
Well, you have full trust, it seems, with each other, which is why your professional relationship works. And then at home, you guys can emotionally be involved with one another because it seems like it's the trust, really, the basics of trust.
Yeah.
If you didn't have that, you were telling me before we started that you served for 16 years.
Yeah.
And they never taught you the basics of paying your bills and taking care of your life. And that Alana just kind of swooped in and takes care of everything.
Yeah, I was born into a military family. My father, my grandparents in the military, so I was immersed in that environment. When I joined at the age of 17 and then went to Tier 1 Special Forces. And, you know, the military are like your mother or father. You know, literally was a handover from my parents to the military. You know, they clothe you, they feed you, they pay you on time. You know, they pay the council tax, the gas, the electric. So you literally get your pay each month, and you can just focus on the job that you're doing. Unfortunately, after 16 years, I had a parachute accident, and then it was time to leave. So I hadn't built up any of those sort of resilient skills of living in normal society. You know, living in a civilian environment was quite alien to me. You know, I knew what I was doing the next 2 years, day in, day out, to where do I now fit in society. But thankfully for me, Alana's very entrepreneurial, and she picked up that role that my parents passed on to the military, and the military then passed on to Alana. So I see a lot of veterans, when they're leaving, their transition can either be smooth or turbulent. You know, mine was quite smooth because Alana did pick that up, you know, but others can be quite turbulent because they just don't know where to go for help or what to do. They're literally just dumped. I still don't know who provides our gas or our electric either.
That's why you have Superwoman here to take care of it all. I just love the two of you together. I wish I had hours to sit and speak with you. But before we end our discussion, can you give advice to people who are watching right now about how to move forward if in a marriage they want to work together? Because many people cannot work together.
Yeah.
What's your advice to people who are thinking of working with their...
You know, I was speaking with someone the other day, and they were telling me like they didn't like the phase that marriage was hard work and you had to work at it. But I think it depends what your definition of work is. Like, I'm lucky enough that I've found a job and a career and a lifestyle that I love. You know, I wake up in the morning and I'm like, what are we doing today? This is exciting because I'm doing what I enjoy. I'm helping people. I'm doing the work I love. And I married someone that I also love and that I love spending time with, and he's my best friend. But are we perfect? 100% no. Like, we make mistakes, we have problems, just like in work. And to make it good, to make my job good, I have to work at it every day, and I have to keep fixing things. So it's about finding the work that you love, the marriage that you love. Is it worth putting in that extra effort? Like, is it not working? Are we not communicating right? Is something going wrong? Is there like all the things that can go wrong in a marriage are so easy to be like, that's been done wrong, let's walk away. I'm from Scotland. We don't really walk away from it when it gets tough. So it's like, how much do you want it and how much do you love it? And if it's, you know, remember the good times and work hard to pull those back in, I would say. And
I think for me, remember when you first met, what your aspirations and dreams were. They don't end because you're married and you have kids. You know, we see relationships where, and it's unfortunately, you know, sex-wise, the females tend to have to put their careers on pause to have a family, and then the husbands continue with their dreams and aspirations, and there can be resentment there when you see your partner going off achieving his dreams. So hopefully we're an example that you can both achieve your dreams if you work together. You know, sometimes Alana has an idea, and I'll pause on my what we're doing. Alana does that, and then we come back together again. But don't let one just disappear.
Alana and Dean Stott, you two really are an inspiration. You are relationship goals. There's so much to talk about. I'm going to have you back in the studio for another segment. And I'm going to put all your, how people can find you, reach out to you. If, you know, they're stuck and they need help, they can reach out to you, and a way that they can donate and help kind of help you through all these great missions that you're doing, because it takes a village to do all the great work that you're doing. So thank you for being here. Please continue to do all the great work you're doing. And you saw it right here on Moms Matter. We'll see you next time.